told and reassured, like, listen, we're going to let this blow over for about 2-3 weeks, and then we'll bring you back, and you'll still feud with New Day.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was probably about a week later when we got a text saying, like, nope, New Day is going with Shinsuke and Cesaro.
Corey, great to meet you.
Hey, very nice meeting you, Chris.
Tell me, how has life been for you over these last few months?
Life is great. I can't really complain all too much, man. I'd say I have a third baby on the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'm getting to spend time with my kids and stuff like that. I have some content coming out. Hopefully that my creative juices I've got going that I'll be releasing here soon. And it's just a very fun time in life for me. I feel like there's a lot of good opportunities coming up here in the next future. So life is good, man. I can't complain all that much.
This is impressive artwork behind you, by the way. What are we looking at here?
Thank you. That's my 4-year-old's artwork right there.
This is funny because if you told me that this was like, from some famous artist, I'd be like, of course it is. Yeah.
She loves to paint and stuff like that. And then when she gets so giddy and so happy when we put it up on the wall, she loves that. She calls them painting posters. And so every time we always put it up in the office, which she loves. She always that's like a big thrill for her. And so you just see her smiling and get so happy about painting us stuff. That's all the more reason why we do it. So yeah, I have no problem. Plus she paints better than I do. So yeah.
I think you've got an artist on your hands here.
Yeah. She's better artist than her father. I know that much.
Corey, how much has being a father changed you and changed your career path?
I wouldn't say change my career path. I would say it changes your focus and your drive and a little bit, from our first daughter, that we had 4 years ago. I still remember the day that Sara actually told me that we were, that she was pregnant. Of course, we were in NXT, and it was right before Brooklyn 2, NXT TakeOver, and I had a match with Shawn Spears, and so that day is a very interesting day because when I got to the building, I didn't know who my opponent was going to be. They're like, "Hey, you're going to wrestle on the pre-tape before the takeover." But they're trying to work out a thing with Ibushi at that time, with Kota Ibushi.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to come out with a deal with him. And so I just sat there. I sat there for hours waiting, and I didn't know. I think it was Adam Pearce kept coming back and like, hey, we don't know who your opponent's going to be yet. We don't know who your opponent's going to be yet. And it wasn't until I want to say, maybe in an hour and a half, probably before doors or something like that. Finally, when I got told, like, hey, you're going to be wrestling Shawn Spears. And so I was like, oh, great. So I just found out who I'm wrestling, and I get a phone call, from Sara. And so I picked up the phone call. She said, hey, can I talk to you? Are you around anyone? I said, no. And so I walked away.
Yeah.
And that's when she told me that, I was going to be a father for the first time. And it was, the emotions. And she just instantly with that sentence alone made me the happiest man in the world. Because that's two things I wanted to do in life was wrestle and be a father. And so, so when that happened, I was just, I was overwhelmed and stuff like that. And I felt bad because she was in Orlando alone, and when she had, when she found out that she was pregnant. So I just felt like, oh man, I should have been there and stuff like that. But man, when I got that news, it switched my focus to where, I've always prided myself on work on, try to put the best product I can out there for myself and what's best for the match. But that night I was just driven to be like, I want to go out there and I just want to steal the show. And I want to just like show everyone like what, Wesley Blake, was all about. And I couldn't have done it without Shawn. He was excellent. I loved working with him. I worked with him on, several different occasions, on live events. And it was just nice that I got to have that match with him. And that's a match that will always be near and dear to my heart, just for for one, that's when I became was knowing that I was going to become a father, and two, just that crowd and everything. That match just worked for me.
I love that you keep referring to him as Sean Spears, because when you wrestled him, he was Ty Dillinger.
Yeah, yeah. I try to keep up with people's name changes and stuff like that. I don't want, but yeah, Ty Dillinger, aka Sean Spears.
So I mean, so what are you going by now?
Westin Blake. So Westin Blake. Yeah, when I was going through NXT the first time, I pitched a bunch of names, and I was always told, and I always felt best, like if you have a name that you can connect with.
Yeah.
And Blake, which is, I have an older brother named Blake. So that was a big driving factor. And most of my life, people have called me Westin, which is my last name, Westin. Yeah. So I've been called West or Westin. So when I gave him my first list of NXT names, Wesley Blake was the winner. They had like 3 or 4 on there, but I can't remember. They weren't that good.
You say that the 2 goals for you were to become a father and to become a pro wrestler. I mean, you've checked both of those off. I'm curious, as a kid who grows up in Texas playing football, is the goal also not to play pro football? Because I mean, everybody knows what that lifestyle is like in Texas.
Yeah, very well. Like that's in high school football there. It's very much. I come from a small town in Texas, and so it was very much. I mean, that Friday night football game is just as big as a Sunday night Dallas Cowboys game. There in Texas. I mean, a lot of, for a small school, we had our bleachers were always filled. With thousands of people just to watch this game. So it helped me transition over to wrestling. I've always wanted to be a wrestler since I was in diapers, because I grew up watching wrestling. My dad loved wrestling. He grew up in Texas as well, and he was very much a Von Erichs and the Funks, back in that day. And he even ran track against a couple of Von Erichs. I want to say against David. And stuff like that. And that's when my dad released, his grandfather watched wrestling and stuff like that. So, it's always been an entertainment source for my family, where that's always been in our household. And so that was, ever since I was a little kid, that's something that I've always wanted to do. I always gravitated to. And once you get into the high school football, like you said, in Texas football, you could change, but that was always the main goal. Like I wanted to kind of go to college to play football. Obviously that didn't work out. I started working and just went to college, and I was trying to get my feet ready into a wrestling school with Rudy Boy Gonzalez, but he never returned my calls or my messages. So I just never, I could just never line up with him. And then eventually I got in touch with Dory Funk Jr., and that's where I went to go get trained.
If movies or TV shows about Texas high school football have taught us anything, Varsity Blues, Friday Night Lights, you're a rock star when you play football in high school. Did you feel that?
Right. Yeah, it was very, very much so, on a much smaller scale. Because, I mean, anywhere you go, people knew you in that small town. I mean, you could go to breakfast or whatever. It was very much, if you go to the gas station, the gas attendant would say, "Hey, great game. What do you think of this next coming week?" And, like, what are your future plans and that type of stuff. So it was very much like the all eyes kind of on you type thing, or the football team, And so, but I think that it just helped me, as I get older in life and stuff like that. And when you start like transitioning through parts of your life, it really does help with the fact that, like, man, after Friday night, you go to the Saturday paper and, you look for your name and look for your stats and stuff like that to kind of see, and, people praise you. And so you always wanted to honor the school. You always want to honor yourself and stuff like that. And I think that's a thing that you kind of want to do in wrestling as well. When you wrestle, you want to honor all the people that taught you stuff. Of course, I got the Funk name. That I want to honor and that I want to carry throughout my career as well. So it's just, it comes hand in hand.
Yeah. What do you think specifically you learned from Dory Funk that you still keep with you every single match?
Every single match, he told me that you're going to learn something new, no matter whether you're in there wrestling a guy for the 50th time or for the very first time. And I think that's what's helped me be with with his foundation and stuff like that. He was able to help evolve when the business was evolving. I mean, he's been around, for the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, and he's even still training athletes to this day for their dream to be a wrestler. And for someone like that, and just to have the mind of like, hey, it's always going to be evolving. Like, you just stay true to yourself, wrestle how you kind of want to wrestle. But take care of yourself, and you always learn. He said never stop learning that aspect of wrestling, and that's what I do. Is every opponent or every match I go into, you go in and you learn something, and so it's just kind of like my daughter when she paints paints this painting, like every time I'm in a match, that's one of your breaststrokes on the mat that you're doing. So
yeah, when did you start to realize that you were taking this to another level? Like, you started to get some interest from WWE, and I don't know if everybody realizes this. You were signed to WWE for 8 years, which is, pretty much most of your career. When did you start to get interest from them?
When I got interest from them, I want to say, I think what helped was I had the Dory Funk name behind me.
Sure.
But what helped me in my confidence is Jerry the King Lawler had a heart attack, on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
And one of his first matches back, he came to the Funkin' Conservatory and wrestled in a 6-man or 8-man, I believe, in an 8-man match, which I got to wrestle him.
Oh, wow.
And so at that time, I was still very green. I still kind of learning the ropes and stuff like that. And so at that time, I was very, very nervous for this match, because here he is, a WWE Hall of Famer, an absolute legend in the business. And I just remember, because I remember driving to the building, and I couldn't eat. I just had like this empty pit stomach, gut feeling. And I got there, and of course, like my hands are clammy, and like I'm kind of like sweating, because I was just very nervous. I mean, I really want to do good. This guy's been in business for years, and here I am, just green. Hopefully, I do well.
Yeah.
And when I talked to him, when he got to the building, and he talked to me and a couple of the other athletes, he had such a confidence and just a calm aspect about him that gave me confidence. That he talked to us. I mean, he traded stories. He told us about what it was like when he was getting in the business, and just the way that he talked to us, and then the way he cracked jokes, and the way the confidence that exuded him gave me confidence. Like when I went out there to wrestle him that night, I felt like I've wrestled him for 5 years. Because that's the kind of confidence that he just like gave me without even trying. It was just like something that he exuded, like the professionalism. And after that match, that's when I realized, okay, I can do this. I just wrestled the WWE Hall of Famer. I believe I know I can go in there and hang with anyone now. That's the confidence that he gave me.
And did he put in a word with WWE? Did he say, man, you got to check out this kid?
I don't know if he did. I mean, it would be nice if he did. I just know that Dory and Jared Briscoe are really good friends from back in the day and stuff. And Joe Briscoe actually came to one of our shows and saw me wrestle and saw me work. And that's when he told me, like, yep, I'm going to go put in a word for you for the WWE, and you'll have a tryout here soon. So, and that's when, and that's how I kind of got my tryout, was Joe Briscoe kind of getting the nod from him. At that time, he was looking at a lot of amateur wrestlers, because of course he has the amateur background and stuff like that. And so I had my tryout in end of September 2012.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been 8 years that you were signed there,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it didn't end on your terms. And I'm sorry that it didn't end on your terms. But when you look back on your time there, what are you most proud of?
Oh, I got a lot of. Looking back, I have nothing but great memories there, because I got a lot of stuff to be proud of. Just for the fact, I felt like I was able to evolve with NXT as well. Like it started off when I got there in 2013 to where it is now. I felt like I was at a talent that I could evolve my talents. Winning the NXT tag titles with Buddy Murphy, that was, of course, one of my highlights. Getting the team with Steve and us pitching the idea of Forgotten Sons, that was another proud moment where there was something on that we pitched that we originally gave them idea for, and they kind of ran with. Meeting my wife there, getting to start a life with her, that's another proud moment. Getting to travel and wrestle in places that I never thought I would get to travel. I got to wrestle in Paris, France, in a circus tent. That was, that like just little stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, the friendships you get to make. And when I was down at NXT, one of the coolest things, like you always remember big matches, like of course, Takeover 25, the ladder match and stuff like that. But I also remember getting to wrestle people's first matches and the confidence that the company felt with me, like, oh yeah, let's put Wesley Blake with, and let's have him, this person have their first match with him. Because then it just reminded me of the Jerry Lawler scene where it was like,
right,
where he gave me the confidence. I'm like, okay, now I can try to repay it with them and stuff like that. Hopefully give this person the confidence to kind of keep going with it, and hopefully give them the comfort of, the way that Jerry gave me comfort in my first match as well.
When you pitched Forgotten Sons, was the name Forgotten Sons, or is that something that you guys brainstormed and came up with afterwards?
When we first pitched the name, our names, I should say, we wanted to use prisoners of society or prisoners of the system is what we wanted to use. And we kind of wanted to be these two guys that, felt like we did everything right in life, but nothing was given to us. Like, we didn't get our comeuppance yet. And so we were just going to take it by any means necessary type thing. And so we pitched that, but they didn't like the prisoners of the system so much because they thought that like kind of brought NXT in a bad light. And so then we started pitching other names, and then Forgotten Sons is the ones that stuck. Yeah, we did Forgotten Sons, and which was another one that we kind of pitched, and we were happy that they liked it so well.
And you guys had a ton of momentum, and I'm curious to know how much of that was halted with what Jaxson Ryker tweeted out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole situation got halted. I mean, that's what, we were, when we got called up there, that was, we were told that we were going to be feuding with the New Day. And that's what it looked like for the foreseeable future, that we were going to be with them. Xavier Woods was out at that time. And I believe they had plans on once he was ready to come back, that they were going to have us kind of do 6-mans and integrate with each other and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was, then that tweet happened, and, Steve and myself, we asked Ryker if he would take it down. But he, as a man of his own, he respectfully said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so Steve and I just told him, like, well, listen, we're going to kind of separate ourselves from you with our own opinions. And we did. And, and when Steve and we went into creative the next day at the Performance Center, and we talked with some creative, and we were told and reassured, like, listen, we're going to let this blow over for about 2-3 weeks, and then we'll bring you back, and you'll still feud with New Day.
Yeah. And
then I believe it was probably about a week later when we got a text saying, like, nope, New Day is going with Shinsuke and Cesaro from here for foreseeable future.
Oh, wow. So this was, you had a huge opportunity in your hands that was taken away, basically.
Yeah. But when something like that happens, it's something that you can't wait on. You can't sit there and gripe about it. You can't let that weigh on you. I did what I felt was right and what I felt was needed to help move on. And so after that, of course, Ryker has called me and apologized. Like, he, of course, he never meant for that to hurt, our careers. He never meant for that to dismember the Forgotten Sons. So he's very apologetic, towards me and Steve. But that was one thing I told Steve and told Ryker, like, all right, well, now I got to keep moving forward. I can't sit here and be stuck here and keep blaming this or that or whatever. Like, I'm going to keep moving forward and try to make the best of the situation. And which, we pitched a bunch of ideas and stuff like that, Steve and myself, to kind of get on TV and kind of get the ball rolling again. And fortunately, that took us to probably about December, where they paired us with Corbin.
Right. Did you ever have the chance to break out and do stuff on your own?
This will be my time. This is my time now. So
yeah. I mean, and when you talk about moving forward and looking ahead, what are you looking ahead to right now?
Yeah, I'm looking ahead to kind of tell my story, kind of get to wrestle how I want to wrestle, and kind of also get to wrestle people, that you've from all different companies and all different styles. Like, that's one thing. When you're with a WWE, you're under the WWE umbrella, you get to wrestle people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and stuff like that, and different cultures. But now I get to go out and I get to wrestle in front of, different crowds, and they're not necessarily a WWE crowd anymore. They're going to be a more hardcore crowd or whatever. It's just very exciting for me to get to do that and to kind of get to these experiences and hopefully get to work with these talented people across the globe in order to get to wrestle, to help me elevate myself as well as a performer, and hopefully, like I said, get my story out there and kind of get just my craftsmanship up to a level that I would like.
I mean, that day's coming up when you can, when your 90 days are up and you can be back in a ring. So it's in July, right? Then we could expect to see you back in a ring.
July 15th will be the last day of my 90 days, and then we'll start hitting the ground running from there. And so that's hopefully I can bring value to companies that see value in me, and then hopefully, like I said, I can elevate myself, which will help elevate the company as well.
Well, I mean, now you have an endless amount of options of people you could wrestle. So who's at the top of this list?
Oh man, that's always tough for me, just because there's so many talented people out there. I mean,
but these are like dream matches for you.
Yeah. It's endless. Because you have, I mean, if you just look at rosters all across, you have the AEW has a great talented field roster, but you have Impact, you have ROH, you have MLW, you have New Japan, you have Noah, you have all these, stacked rosters with all sorts of experiences, that you just, you makes me giddy of wanting to get to wrestle these kind of people and wrestle with these rosters and kind of get to learn from these people. And that's very exciting for me.
I mean, it's exciting for us too, to be able to see, where you'll land or who you'll wrestle once you are able to work again.
Yeah.
You mentioned your wife, Sara, and I want to just give some context here for everybody who might not know. She was one of the last winners of Tough Enough. She was. Yep, she was. So you met her as a result of her winning Tough Enough and then being at the Performance Center?
Yep. And so that's where we met. Kind of a little bit of a backstory with that. So, but when Tough Enough was coming out, and I used to go over to Noah Town's apartment, and we used to watch it raw and stuff like that. It was me and a couple buddies, and I'll never forget when they released the last these are the 11 Tough Enough people. Yeah. And when Sara came across the screen, I sat there and I told the guys, I said, I don't know what it is about her. I said, but I think she's the most beautiful woman I've ever laid my eyes on. And and so it was just crazy, because I said that, of course that was before even the show was, a thing. It was just here are the 11 people. Yeah. And so and then it just by fate, she ends up winning it. And that was something that I was, super proud of her, and now knowing her and knowing her story. So I was just so proud of her. You kind of watch that, and there was a couple of times, when you're that beautiful inside and out, it shows through the camera. And I think that's what resonated with the fans. And I think that's what helped her win, of course. And because there's a couple of times where she could have got voted off, but the fans nope, we wanted to see her and stuff like that. And it came across to me, and how we started talking was, I don't know if, I mean, people may not, but the NXT has like an NXT combine type thing that you see it on the, well, at that time it was a different name, but we were doing that. We were doing some testing, like in weight room kind of type testing and stuff like that. Well, we did the rower, and of course, it was, well, I forgot the distance, but I did so much where I ended up throwing up, where I made myself ill. I pushed myself to competing so much where I was throwing up. So I was in the weight room, and, the head over a trash can as the girls were coming in to start their competition. So
nice.
real good look for me.
Great first impression.
Yeah, great first impression for me to, and so head over the trash can, throwing up, and then she was so sweet that later on that night she messaged me through Twitter and said, "Hey, I hope you're feeling better." And then that's how we started messaging each other, and then the rest took off.
I'm fascinated by like the concept of like the butterfly effect, and like everything happens for a reason. Just think, if you hadn't pushed yourself that hard and weren't throwing up, you might not have had this icebreaker for the woman who became
I know. And it's just crazy because I remember when we used to have like Friday morning yoga classes and stuff like that. And I remember like trying to like talk to her. And I remember like I went there, and she was of course doing the yoga, and I asked her, there was like several of us going out for breakfast after the yoga and stuff. And I remember asking her like, "Hey, would you like to go to dinner, or not dinner, but breakfast with all, there's about 6 of us." She turned me down. She goes, "No, I can't. I had, but I think she was moving into an apartment at that time.
Right.
So she was just like, "Oh, I got furniture coming." So I was just like, "Ah, man, I just, that was, kind of my shot and that type of stuff." So, and then, I mean, who would have thought that me throwing up after pushing myself so hard in competition, that she would DM me asking me if I'm okay. So
I imagine that a big chunk of her job now is being a mom, but what else is she doing for work?
Right now, we're just expecting our third, coming up in here in the next couple of weeks. Whatever she wants to do, her future, whether getting back in the ring or she wants to pursue something else, she has my blessing and 100% support with it. After our second child, she kind of started training again, of course, at flatbacks with Spears and Tyler Breeze.
I know that place well.
Yes, you do. I've seen. And so we, but they helped her. They instilled confidence back in her, especially with her after having 2 kids and stuff like that. And, and so I've always told her, especially after this, because this one will be our last, if whatever she wanted to do, if she wanted to get back into wrestling, that, she would have my 100% support, or if she wants to go in any other avenue, she'll have my 100% support, just because she's done the same for me. She's, been supportive. She's, without hesitation, if I had something to do or something, she would always tell me to do it and do it to the best of my ability. And I just can't thank her enough for that.
I feel like you've got this renewed excitement, this renewed energy for wrestling, because you can pretty much do what you want beginning next month.
Yeah, I can. And it's exciting. Like, it's an exciting time. I find it like a blessing in disguise almost, where, you want to go out there, you want to show, yourself, and you want to show like, hey, this is what I got, and this is what I can do, and type stuff. And now I can. And, will it be in front of the millions that WWE sees? No, but it will be in front of crowds, in front of people that hopefully when they see it, they will be like, you know what, that's a guy who's obviously loves it, who has a passion for it. And, hopefully it can incite someone to follow their dreams, to follow their passion. I hope, looking at where I am now and where I hope to be, it would be something that my kids can look up to, as way I looked up to my family for my father and my mother. Both of them, my dad worked with horses most of his life, and he, but that was something he loved and was very passionate about. And I mean, to him, he never worked a day in his life because that was something that he loved to do. And to see my mom, when she got pregnant with my oldest brother, she kind of quit her nursing school. But my mom had such a passion and love for nursing that once my mom and dad split and got divorced, she started going back to school. And I saw, like, from a 13, 14-year-old, I saw this woman, who's working 2 jobs, but still going to school, still pursuing her love and her passion. And that's when I think the wheels started turning in my head, like, oh, I see this woman is sacrificing so much that it instilled confidence in me, like I can go after what I want and I can go after my dream and passion and stuff like that. And so that's what I hope to do with my kids and with future athletes and talents.
Well, you're doing it, and you've been doing it most of your career. I'm curious, though, Corey, do you think about life after wrestling?
Of course, and the thing with life after wrestling is as you get older, you find other passions in your life, and there are other passions of mine outside of wrestling. With strength and conditioning, what I went to school for, I went for exercise sports science and minor in business, and that's always something that I've always looked to. That's something I love. I love training. I love getting to train athletes. There at the Performance Center, I was under 2 great strength and conditioning coaches, and that's something I can see myself get back into is coaching athletes with strength and conditioning. Another passion of mine is like real estate. Something. So now I will have the time to kind of, if I want to indulge and dive into that, I can, and stuff like that. And it's just the things with when I look at stuff for the future and things like that, I just look for what am I passionate about, to where I know, like, that I will look back on my life and say, like, I did everything that I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it.
So when you talk about real estate, like, would you be interested in being a real estate agent?
Yeah. I love, because I watch these documentaries on Netflix, of course, like Earth and stuff like that. But I also find that I really love ranches and farms and finding stuff like that. And it's very unique to me of the landscaping, even like building homes. I always watch like the 10 most unique homes in the world and stuff like that. And it's just always very fascinating on how it's built, or even like the inspiration behind the design of it and the thought of it. And that's just the cool stuff that I find interesting.
I would love to see your business card or your placard, on the lawn.
Yeah.
It's you, but it's your wrestling photo instead of like, business photo.
Yeah, that would be great.
Like if you, like you could have some mean face, like, buy this house from me or else.
Or take a DDT. Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, how could you possibly say no to that? I end every interview talking about gratitude, and I'm curious for you, what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
I'm grateful for, of course, my wife and my kids. I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for the friendships that I've had over the past several years. Steve Maclin, as you well know, who was my tag partner, but he was also a godfather to my kids. I'm grateful for the life lessons that I've been able to learn through NXT and WWE. I'm grateful for supportive parents that I've always had, and supportive family, my brothers and sisters, that as well. And I have a lot to be grateful for. Grateful for to have a roof over my head and food on my plate. So, there's a lot of stuff to be grateful for, and a lot of stuff that's very exciting for me moving forward.
I love that, you're just living in this attitude of gratitude. I asked you to list off 3 and you listed off like 17. It's great. I love it. You survived a lot of cuts. There were a lot of cuts when you were working for WWE. Yeah. Did you think that you were going to survive this one as well?
Yeah, I mean, you always do. Like, yes and no. So that was the thing. So when Steve got released, in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I could be next because I was
Sure.
his tag partner. But that didn't stop me from, when he got released, it made me go like, okay, give them a reason to not release you
Mhm.
type attitude. So that's what I did. I started pitching stuff. Buddy and myself kind of rekindled, and we started like pitching ideas. After Mania, we were going to kind of get together and film some stuff to show creative, but unfortunately that didn't get to happen. So it was one of those things where at the back of my mind, it could have happened or whatever, but I was going to try my best to make sure that it didn't happen. But the company was going a certain way with their product, and they didn't see me fitting it. So
Well, I'm excited for what's next for you because, like I mentioned, like you've got an endless amount of options. So it'll be interesting to see where you land and also who you'll be in the ring with.
oh, I can't wait. It's a lot of fun for me as well. I'm very excited for it.
Well, I'm excited for it. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you sharing about the artwork behind you. It's so beautiful. I've been captivated by it this whole time. Please tell your daughter she is a wonderful artist.
I will. I will. She'll be really excited about it too.
Corey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. I really did appreciate this.
I appreciate you.